The first Democratic debate of the 2020 election was held this Wednesday and Thursday, and it was eventful, to say the least. Between the various candidates speaking Spanish on Wednesday night to everyone going after Joe Biden Thursday night, it was a lot to take in. I'm going to go through kind of the highlights of the debate. This debate was the crowded Democratic field's candidates' first chance to really set themselves apart from the pack, and some of them did it better than others. On Wednesday night, Elizabeth Warren went into the debate polling well ahead of the other candidates on the stage, yet didn't really convince people of her abilities as a candidate. She laid out her policies and didn't really cause a stir. She was kind of in the background, and none of the other candidates really picked on her policies at all. Instead, they directed all their anguish towards Beto O'Rourke. Wednesday was not a good night for Beto. It all started when he was asked a question about marginal tax rates on the wealthy, and instead of actually answering the question, he started speaking in Spanish.
Some Democrats want a marginal individual tax rate of 70% on the very highest earners, those making more than $10 million a year. Would you support that? And if not, what would your top individual rate be?
Necesitamos incluir cada persona en el éxito de esta economía. Pero si queremos hacer eso, necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia. Cada votante necesitamos la representación y cada voz necesitamos escuchar.
This moment actually sparked the meme of these debates, as you see Cory Booker giving Beto some serious side-eye during his answer. At least Beto can claim he was the first candidate to speak Spanish, as Cory Booker and Julian Castro did so later on in the debate. This was just the beginning of Beto's troubles, however. The other 9 candidates questioned him on everything from his refusal to completely get rid of private health care to, not offering to repeal Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationalities Act, which makes crossing the U.S. border a crime. There were no clear winners on Wednesday night, just Elizabeth Warren, not really doing much to help or hinder her campaign. Thursday was a completely different story. It was pretty clear that Kamala Harris was the commanding presence on that debate stage. Most notably was her interaction with Joe Biden when talking about Biden's comments about working with segregationist senators and his opposition to integration with school busing. Joe Biden kind of stumbled through a response where he talked about all the times he supported civil rights, which is good. But then he cut himself off at the end by noting he was out of time, which is bad. This was not the only Joe Biden attack of the night, however. Eric Swalwell described an encounter he had with Biden 32 years ago at the California Democratic Convention.
I was 6 years old when a presidential candidate came to the California Democratic Convention and said, it's time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans. That candidate was then Senator Joe Biden. Joe Biden was right when he said it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans.
Vice President, would you like to sing a torch song?
I would. I'm still holding on to that torch.
Saying that you're still holding on to that torch is not a strong argument for why you should be making your third presidential run. Biden was not the only candidate who didn't have a good night, though. Bernie Sanders made a big mistake when he finally had to reveal the truth about his Medicare for All plan, that in order for it to be paid for, he would have to raise taxes on the middle class.
Senator Sanders, I'll give you 10 seconds just to answer the very direct question. Will you raise taxes for the middle class in a Sanders administration?
People who have health care under Medicare for All will have no premiums, no deductibles, no co-payments, no out-of-pocket expenses. Yes, they will pay more in taxes, but less in health care for what they get.
Now, in general, people don't like being told that they're going to have to pay more in taxes, so Bernie's not really going to gain a whole lot of supporters for saying that. But it's the truth. It sounds nice that all these candidates are promising you free college, free health care, getting rid of everyone's student loans, but in the end, someone has to pay for these things. This person ends up being your average American taxpayer. My favorite moment from the Thursday night debate came from Marianne Williamson's closing argument, where she said she was going to defeat Donald Trump with love.
I'm sorry we haven't talked more tonight about how we're going to beat Donald Trump. I have an idea about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to be beaten just by insider politics talk. He's not going to be beaten just by somebody who has plans. He's going to be beaten by somebody who has an idea what this man has done. This man has reached into the psyche of the American people, and he has harnessed fear for political purposes. So, Mr. President, if you're listening, I want you to hear me, please. You have harnessed fear for political purposes, and only love can cast that out. So sir, I have a feeling you know what you're doing. I'm going to harness love for political purposes.
She's great. I hope you enjoyed my brief account of the first Democratic debate, and I'll see you on Monday.